Hi, I am Heidi Berry Rodriguez. I'm an adult services librarian with Wake County Public Libraries. I work at the West Regional Library, which is in West Cary. And I am here, as Amelia said, with...
Hey everybody, I'm Erin DeCoeur. I am also an adult services librarian, but at the Cary Regional Library in downtown Cary, which is just outside of Raleigh, if you guys don't know where Cary is. It's a little suburb. And we're happy to be here. Like Amelia said, you guys have any questions throughout this, please pop them in chat and we'll get them as we go or at the end, depending on how things go. Right, Heidi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, my slides are looking good though, right? Are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Fantastic. All right. So today's presentation is based on our virtual Outlander program series that Heidi and I did only just last November. And I swear at this point, y'all, it seems like it was eons ago because time is fluid these days. But this is based on the program series we did in November of 2021.
Okay, so what was this series actually? Well, it didn't start out as a series. It started out as an idea of, hey, you know, the newest Outlander book is coming out. And what if we got somebody to do like a little North Carolina travelogue? And so that was one program. And then we just kept brainstorming and it turned into 8 programs because all of our presenters said yes, which has never happened for us before. But we ended up with 8 virtual programs based on the North Carolina setting of the Outlander book series by author Diana Gabaldon. The 9th book in the series was coming out in November, highly anticipated. We were in what is called a Droughtlander because it had been 7 years since the publication of the 8th book. And so it was like the perfect storm. Here we are in the capital county of the state with a book series that's taking place in the state and a bunch of highly anticipated book with a lot of fans. So what do we actually mean by virtual program? Well, we mean, in this case, a library program that we broadcast on the Zoom platform. It can be viewed from anywhere, but you do need to sign up because you do need to register because you will be getting a Zoom code. Each Wake County Public Library regional library, of which there are 8, has an adult Zoom account that allows up to 300 attendees per program. So why virtual? Well, the pandemic, right? Kind of enough said on that, except we needed to really meet our patrons where they were, and they weren't in our building. They were online. We started with virtual book discussions and we kind of branched out and did some other virtual programs, kind of culminating in a weird way with this program series. Also, too, our presenters were from all over the United States and actually one in Scotland. And virtual allowed us to go to where the talent was, no matter where they were.
And Outlander fans are virtual. Diana's been on a CompuServe forum for, gosh, at this point, I think I can say decades now. There are fans across the world who've connected with each other virtually because of the internet. And so when we settled on Outlander as our program topic, it was a given. It was a gimme. We had to do it virtually. We wanted to meet the fans where they were, and they were all online. So we started putting feelers out on fandom social media, Facebook groups, of which there are many, and they're enormous and they're rabid, but that's neither here nor there. To gauge interest on one program idea or another, there was a lot of interest, and we narrowed it down to our chosen topics. We wound up with 8 programs, and like Heidi said, that's because everybody we asked said yes. It was for the large series, it turned out to be, it was very easy planning, which was delightful. Interest was super high in this series, and we knew that we needed and wanted to keep that momentum going. At this point, we were in July of 2021, and we knew the series wasn't going to be until November. So that's, however many months. What do we do? How do we keep the interest high? How do we keep engaged with the fans? Enter the LibGuide, which we will be talking about in just a minute. So that's a quick overview. It's great. It's wonderful. But what did the author think of this? Because yes, She found out about it, and it was kind of a highlight of my life because I am a Outlander fan of her many years. We don't need to say how many. She loved it. She was honored. She was thrilled. She was everything. So that was just kind of icing on the cake of this Outlander series, is that Diana Gabaldon gave us the little seal of approval, the little Sassenach of approval. Sorry, Heidi, I had to do it.
Well, you know what's funny about this, though, is at the time that she posted this and told us that she was going to put it on Facebook, we were like pretty much full. And we'll talk about that more later. Our registrations were maxing out in some of the programs. And so we were kind of panicking, like, oh no, if she publicizes this.
Don't actually share it because you'll break our Zoom. So where were the attendees? Where did they come from? We had virtual registration from virtually every state. A lot of them obviously came from North Carolina. We're in North Carolina. We have our patrons. The books from book 4 on set in North Carolina. So there's a strong fan base here, but also we had at least one person and sometimes multiple people from each of the countries that you see listed on the screen, which was really, really neat for us. So that was fun.
Okay, so what was the result of all this craziness? Well, we had 6,752 program registrations across the 8 programs. 8,000 was the maximum registration, so we were actually 84% full, hence my saying we were kind of freaking out by the time Diana Gabaldon said she was going to publicize it. We actually had to increase our Zoom subscription twice, from 300, and then we jumped up to 500, and then we went up to 1,000. At that point, I was like, no more, we're done. We ended up with almost 3,200 program attendees, which is 50% of those registered, which seems to be the norm for us with our virtual programs across the board, whatever program it is, not just the Outlander series. We had 18,000 views of the promo video that we made when it was put on Facebook, and the video was shared over 200 times. So we were getting a lot of traction from this. And what did it cost? It was cheap. It was $680 for all 8 programs. That includes $500 in presenter honorariums. Some of our presenters didn't even want an honorarium, they just wanted to do it. And it cost us a grand total of $180 to increase our Zoom subscription from 300 to 1,000 for 2 libraries, for West Regional and Cary Regional Library. And so that worked out to a cost of 20 cents per attendee.
Which you can't argue at all. I don't care who you are, you can't argue with that.
No.
20 cents, come on.
20 cents. And so actually 2 tech tools really made these virtual programs possible. And that's what we're going to talk about today. One is LibGuides by SpringShare, and the other is Zoom. So
SpringShare, what is it? And why do we care about it? If you are familiar with SpringShare, this will probably sound, you know all about it. But for those who are not, SpringShare is cloud software for libraries to, quote, curate resources and share knowledge, provide answers, engage your community, deepen relationships with users, and analyze the use of library services. So LibGuides is a section of the SpringShare software, and it is pretty much a content management and information sharing system. It totes itself as, quote, the most popular, easiest to use web publishing and content curation platform for libraries. And I would agree with that assessment. And it's available in over 6,000 libraries and 82 countries. So while all of that is accurate and what a large majority of library users do use the LibGuide for, we looked at this in a different way when it came to the virtual Outlander programming series. We focused on using the LibGuide as a marketing tool, not merely just an information sharing tool. So we're going to look at the LibGuide that we created for the programming series and walk you through that and tell you a little bit about it. All right, Heidi, am I on the LibGuide?
You are on the LibGuide.
Fantastico. Okay, so we wanted a one-stop shopping experience for this program series. We had 8 programs. That's a lot to keep track of for us who know programming, let alone a patron who, that can be a little overwhelming. 8 programs. So one-stop shopping experience. You don't have to scour the library website or look at the catalog or try to find out what's where, why, all that stuff. It's all in one place. We also, every chance we get on here, and I apologize in advance for sounding like a broken record when you're going to hear me say, we linked it back to the library website or linked it back to the catalog. We did that every chance we got. So Wake County Public Libraries, their website did get all the traffic. It just came to, it came through the LibGuide, basically. So we designed a great welcome page. You see here, let me scroll down a bit. This is the video that Heidi mentioned briefly earlier that had a bajillion views. Maybe that wasn't exactly how many, but it had a lot of views and shares. I can't play it for you now because this is kind of long and we're trying to keep it on time. But Heidi's putting the link to this, to the LibGuide in chat. Thank you, Heidi. And I just really encourage you to watch it. You see, it's 1 minute and 39 seconds long. It's beautiful. Heidi created this. She let me choose the music. So thanks, Heidi. And it's just a very evocative welcome. This is what the program series is about. Just watch it when you get a chance. It's, it'll be the highlight 2 minutes of your day today. So it will, I swear. Do you think, Heidi?
Yeah, for sure. The music will make you weep. That's what everybody says.
Guys, I've watched this video I'm not even lying, probably upwards of 25 or 30 times. And I get teary every time because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because you want a weep fest out of this.
Moving on. So Heidi, I'm going to hide that. Heidi also created the branding you see up here at the top, Outlander Kilts in Carolina. She created that in Canva, and we used that on the LibGuide here. We used it in our PR. Our PR department actually took her images and brands and used that for our flyers and the brochure and the event listings. And then we used it in our bookmarks that we made in other various ephemera, but we branded things basically. Which is, if Heidi can maybe, you don't need to speak on marketing, just say marketing is key, right? With brands.
It's important.
Yes. Okay. So also we have, each guide has its customized header. Let me just show you a couple of those. So you see virtual program series, same brand, but just what each of the pages is about. We just changed that. So it had its own customized name. I changed the side tabs here to match the colors of our branded imagery that we chose. Our normal Wake County LibGuide colors, they're pretty, but they're like shades of blue. It didn't really fit. It didn't match. It really threw off the aesthetic of the LibGuide. So changed that. I will say when you do that, and it's super fun, you can use a color picker to get the exact color shade that you want. Use a contrast checker to make sure that the colors, the 2 colors that you choose are accessible to people with visual disabilities. I used Utah State's webaim.org contrast checker, very easy to use. And it was really helpful because it does a quick pass fail kind of thing. And you can adjust your color, your shades, your hex colors and all of that until it shows pass across the board. So we also use the side navigation as opposed to just a regular tabbed option because 2 reasons. One, Wake County moved to a side nav for all of their LibGuides. That's a big project that we undertook during COVID, during lockdown. We changed everything to side nav. So we wanted to keep with that, with the library. And then also, honestly, side navigation looks cleaner. It's prettier. It's more aesthetically pleasing. So we did that. We created this LibGuide well in advance of when the program series started because we wanted to build anticipation, keep that interest high, all that good stuff. And each of the programs you see registration closed here Each of the programs had a bright red, bold, coming soon. And that is where the link to register would be. So basically, we just taunted our patrons for like 2 full months before we opened registration and made that link active. But it did keep the anticipation high. So also, while they were waiting, we encouraged them to browse the LibGuide. That's what it was there for. So we had an overview and frequently asked questions page, which gives you a little bit of information about Zoom. We linked Zoom instructions because this was well into the pandemic where a lot of people were comfortable with Zoom, but you're always going to have those who aren't used to it or on a different device, whatever. We had Zoom instructions available, and then we had a ton of frequently asked questions. So basically, anything that a patron could think of, and we added 1 or 2 as they asked the question. We had it here so that they could just look, get their question answered. Did they still ask the questions? Well, of course they did on occasion, but I think it cut down on a lot of things because it was all here. Also, let's see. Oh, yes, and our books. If anybody is familiar with Outlander, you know that there are a good handful of them, and not just the Outlander series, but Diana Gabaldon has written the Lord John Grey. She's written novellas, et cetera, so forth. And so we really wanted to highlight that as well with links that went back to our catalog so that people could click on it, look at the book, see is it available at their library, or request it if it wasn't available. So made this, I'll call it like a patchwork style quilt. It's all made in rich text editor, and book covers, each book cover links back to the catalog. With LibGuides, there's lots of ways to showcase your library books. One of the ways is with a gallery view, which is really neat. You can kind of, scroll 3 books at a time, 6 books at a time, what have you. It looked good. It was fun, but wasn't really functional for what we were looking for, which was kind of an in-your-face, gorgeous look at all of these titles. So we wound up making a gallery view for all of the books, and also this for all of the books, which was a little time consuming, but then we got to compare them and we decided to go with this because marketing wise, you see all of the books at once. It's pretty. It's just pretty and it grabs your attention. So each tab of the LibGuide, also of our programs, we highlighted even more books, because with Wake County Library, our mission statement is to instill the love of reading and foster the pursuit of knowledge for the residents of Wake County. And so we always tried to bring it back to the book. So for example, where is your Scottish? Yes. So for Heidi's Real Outlanders program, you have the program and registration, but then we have information about the presenter. Dr. Kimberly Sherman, she's done so much. She's amazing. So we give a little bit of bio there. And then articles that she's been in, things that she's written, journal articles that she's written. And then we also have related books, which are from our collection. And they, of course, link back to the catalog. Told you guys would get tired of me saying that. One program that we did, and it was the only librarian-led one, was our staff picks, if you like Outlander. And this is where we went kind of cuckoo bananas with all of the books and lists. Each tab has a list of some titles here, also at least one list that goes back to, you guessed it, our catalog. And these are lists that had been created for one program or another by librarians in Wake County. And we just wanted to list them because the more books you give people, hey, they're going to find something that they like to read. And if we are all about the book, this is the way to do it. Let's see, what else? What did I forget, Heidi? Oh, the last one. The fun thing, not at all, this is fun too. Our last page, we had Heidi, even though she doesn't like to think so, she is very crafty. And she's kind of the craft queen here. And she created this it's adorable, y'all. It's a little mini me book. We've got instructions for downloading here. You could make it from home. All you need is a printer and some cardstock. Very adorable. You can make a bookmark. You can make a Christmas tree ornament, that kind of thing. And then we also had various ephemera Outlander quote bookmarks that you could print out from home. This was the landing page for all the fun extra branded stuff that we had. We also did have buttons that we handed out and things like that, but you know, not everybody has a button maker at home, so we didn't put those on here. We just had them at our libraries. And I think that's it. Heidi, did I forget anything?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, so needless to say, this was a one-stop shopping experience for our patrons. We wanted them to have everything that they could really think of that they wanted all in one place and be able to sign up for the programs. And I think that we did a pretty good job of that. So right now, I'm going to stop my share. Heidi's going to start hers, and she gets the fun part of Zoom and all its idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, and of which there are a lot. But I actually we're going to cover one last thing with the LibGuide. Are you seeing my screen? It's all good.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Heidi. I'm gonna do my little segue. So we did have an interesting blip on viewing of our LibGuide data point that was like, what? So Heidi's going to talk about that right now.
So the LibGuide was wildly successful. We had over 42,000 views of it by the end of the series in November, which made it the second most popular LibGuide in all of Wake County history, with the most popular one being the master LibGuide for all of our databases. But the interesting thing about this was after the series was over, we still were getting hits. We got an additional almost 2,500 hits. And we figured out it's the reading list. People were going back and they were using the reading list. And so we ended up with almost 45,000 LibGuide views. I thought it was really interesting that they were going back. It didn't occur to me that they would return after the series was over. So including reading lists and other items of interest to keep people interested we learned it was a really great idea. All right, so I'm going to talk about Zoom. I would be curious if you'd like to put in chat, just a curiosity thing. How many of you are already using Zoom, not for meetings, but for programs with patrons? Just go ahead and put that in, if you don't mind, while I get started. So today we're going to chat about, and not particularly in this order, how to optimize your settings, how to run reports for registration, and how to actually activate registration for a program and set it up. It's a beautiful thing, registration in Zoom for large programs. We're also going to talk about some particular things of note, turning on live captions in Zoom, sharing videos and sound, and the chat queen here, Erin, is going to talk about using chat for engagement, because one of the surprises that we had was how engaging these programs actually were, and it really had all to do really with chat. Okay. So using Zoom for registration. Whoops. I'm going to stop my share, and I'm actually going to go to Zoom. Hello. Give me a second. I've got a lot of windows open here, y'all. Lots.
Do you guys want to hear a really bad joke while Heidi's doing her thing? I'm assuming everyone's saying yes, because who doesn't love bad jokes? Okay, this is my favorite one, and I apologize in advance, you guys. What kind of online exercise do sheep do?
Jeez.
You know what I'm going to say. Zumba. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
That's so bad, but it's so good.
You.
Okay. You're seeing my Zoom screen, I hope. I'm in the settings area, and now your organization is going to have certain settings. I'm not advocating to override them or anything. I'm just going to go through a few settings that I think, well, actually, I'm going to go through registration first. Sorry, forgot about that. That's what I was doing. Registration. Okay, so Zoom registration. If you don't have a way to register large numbers of people, Zoom offers a registration function. and it is a beautiful thing. So what you do is you go ahead and set up your program, your meeting, just how you normally would. My fake meeting, or my fake, what does I call it? My fake Outlander. And set your date and your time. And then I'm going to just go down here first. So you always want to set up a passcode that is friendly. So I'm going to set up Jamie because he's friendly. And I want to make sure the waiting room is indeed activated. The host video is on. I would normally turn the participant video off because you don't want, if it's a large program, the video can eat up bandwidth and people kind of do things, they forget they're on camera. So you don't want to broadcast that to people. So usually do shut that off, but I'm going to scroll back up and show you the important thing here. This little button registration, once you hit it, it's going to activate it and it's going to open up some additional tabs on the bottom. First is just, you can view if you have any registrants, which in this case you don't because we just opened it this second, but if you did, they would be here. You'd be able to resend your confirmation email. You could also cancel registration if someone told you they wanted to cancel it. Registration options, these are important. You want to automatically approve unless you want to manually approve every single person that has asked to come to your program. You want to close your registration after the event date because it's over. If you have to, you can also restrict the number of registrants. In this case, it's the number on your license. But if you could only accommodate 100, you could put that in there. You can allow people to join from multiple devices because for some reason they do. And in this case, I'm going to uncheck social share buttons because Wake County we don't do that.
Heidi, don't forget about the questions.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know if I had to save it first before I got to the questions, so I just saved it. Okay. So your obvious questions are going to be standard, first name, last name, and email, but then you can actually come in here and create your own question. And you can also make it required or not. So that's kind of a nice thing. You can ask them where they're joining you from or how did they hear about it. Okay, so next little tab. These are little powerful tabs. They're just kind of hanging out here at the bottom and you may not really pay attention. Let's see. Okay, so the language is English. I'm not going to change that. This is the email address that's attached to the account. If it were my program, I would change it and probably put my own personal email address. And here is where you can configure a custom confirmation email. This is going to go out when they register. But the beauty of this, you can use this as a reminder email a few days before your program or even day of, just by changing the message. So you can actually come in here in the meeting topic, my fake meeting, or whatever I called it, my fake program, confirmation. You can customize this as you wish. I actually have a blurb that I've copied, and so I'm just going to paste it in here. And then I'm going to save it. And so if you ever need to change it, you can just go in and change your message. The last thing is Zoom has added is branding. And this is way cool. So if you have a graphic, it even tells you the dimensions and how big it can be. And if you have a logo, just go in and put that in. Okay. So now I'm going to stop the share. There's a lot of going back and forth here, so just bear with me for a second. I'm going to go back to this. So this is what the form looks like when people are going to register. And the URL is right there in the program that we just set up. You copy and paste it, use that as the URL for sign up. And this is what they get. They get an on-screen, immediate on-screen confirmation that looks like this. And then they also get an email. And this is it's done in 2 screenshots here, but that's the top part. And then the bottom part is what I copied and pasted, which was my little blurb. Hello, thanks for reading. This is how you access it. Because with registration, each registrant receives a unique link. They have to join from this join meeting button. Now they can join by putting in the Zoom code, but their email has to match. It's just another security feature. There is no universal Zoom code for a meeting with registration. So now we're going to talk about optimizing some of these settings. I'm going to do this through screenshots because I don't know about you, but if I were scrolling through all those settings, I get a little bit of vertigo. So I'm going to save you vertigo on this Friday. So what we're going to be talking about here, like I said, don't try, if you have settings, I'm not advocating you to override your settings. These are just some of the settings we found helpful with a large audience. If you're doing a meeting with colleagues or in your library, it may be very different, the setting, but this is what we found useful for large audiences. So first, you definitely want to make sure your waiting room is activated because that's where everyone is going to go and they're going to hang out there. And we started letting people in about 10 minutes before the program, and we needed every minute of those 10 minutes to let people in, and we needed helpers. So for every one of our programs, we had 2 to 3 other librarians that were helping in admitting people, making sure people didn't turn their video on, answering any questions they had in chat. You also have the option to customize your waiting room, which is cool. So you can go ahead and put a little message in. This is a generic message on this account because, again, we also use it for meetings, not just for programs, along with our county logo. So participant video, I didn't shut this off in the settings because, again, we use it for meetings, not just for programs, but you definitely want to make sure your host video is on. Mute all participants when they join a meeting. You want that on, but it's tricky. They can turn it off. And I'm going to show you a little thing we found to make sure it stays off, because otherwise you're going to have barking dogs and people yelling, "Is supper ready?" And yeah, it was crazy. Chat, you definitely want to turn chat on, and the ability to chat with anyone. It just creates a great atmosphere of engagement, as Erin's going to go ahead and show you in a little bit. You want to be able to add co-hosts because your peers that are helping you with the program, and most importantly, your presenter, you're going to go ahead and as soon as you admit them, you're going to make them co-hosts. They have all the powers, all the Zoom powers to do what you do, and but the participants can't do it. So co-hosts will be able to see their video, they'll be able to share their screen, etc. Screen sharing, so only the host. Clearly, you don't want to have it all participants in a meeting, in a program with 500 or 600 people. Annotation, again, only the people who are sharing their screen should be able to annotate. You don't want someone writing hello across your screen in the middle of someone's presentation. We did restrict some of the emojis just because we figured, I don't even know what's out there for emojis these days, so we're going to restrict it. And we do allow participants to rejoin. It's the craziest thing. There are people that come in and out 15, 20 times. I don't know what they're doing. I'd actually love to know what they're doing, but people do come and go. Manual captions, we're going to talk about that a little bit, but if you're planning to use live captioning, which is included in Zoom, you do have to activate it here in your settings. You can't activate it once the program has started. It won't work. We found that out by accident.
Ask me how I know.
So absolutely go ahead and activate it if that's something that you want to offer. Also realize if you have, like I did, a presenter from Scotland, the live captioning was on, and apparently I couldn't see it because I was hosting and I wasn't paying attention to it, but apparently it was hilarious.
It was a hoot. Accents and live captioning sometimes do not work, but really it's still helpful for people who need it.
True. So the group HD video, I only put this in here because this is a teaser. This actually won't work with Zoom meetings of more than 3 people. So you don't ever really need to activate this unless you have fewer than 3 people. So muting and participants, even though we've chosen to in the settings to mute them, they can turn their microphone on in the meeting or in the program. So what you need to do as a host is under participants on your toolbar, you'll see the ... menu, and then this other submenu pops up, and you're going to uncheck allow participants to unmute themselves, and then they can't. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, sound and video. If you're going to be showing a video or you need to share sound coming from your computer, some sort of music or file, you do need to check these boxes. You check share sound, otherwise it's not going to, they're not going to hear what's playing on your computer, and check to optimize your video clip. But only optimize your video clip if you're going to actually show a video. because what it does is it optimizes. It's this funky, I don't know if it's a bug, but on Zoom communities, everybody talks about this. When you're showing a video, it also shows the outlines of the toolbars on your screen. So if I'm showing a video and something pops up in chat, they're going to see a rectangular gray bar as if it were the chat box, or actually be a rectangle. And they would see the toolbar at the bottom. So you kind of got to be a little careful with video and really want to share one. Okay, so Zoom also does reports. It comes in very handy. They do a participant report, so you can go in and actually see who's registered. You can search for names, search for email addresses, etc. And after the program is over, you can also pull a registration report, and that will show you the number of people, the number of unique people, that unique joiners or registrants or whatever that were in your program. It looks like this. So at the bottom, you can see this one program, 556 people. If I click on that, that would tell me every single person that was in the program, and I could actually have access to their email addresses that way. All right, so now Erin's going to talk about using chat.
Chat, and where are we on time? Okay, I'm going to talk very quickly. So we used Zoom chat just constantly for these programs, and it was really interesting because in-person programs, we stand up at the front of the room and we say, hi, welcome, a sentence or two about library programs. Then we sit down and maybe we say, thanks for coming, please check out some books. And then they leave. And that's really the only back and forth we have with patrons who come to programs in person. Online and virtual, whole other story, you guys. If anyone, I'm going to show my age here again and say, I come from the land of early 2000s Yahoo chat conferences and IRC and, even AOL chat. We won't go there, but I'm a chatter. It's what I've done. And so it seems very easy to have engagement and to be active in chat, but it does take, at its basics, you need to be a fast typer to catch up with people and to keep things moving and current. And you need to be able to multitask and all of that good stuff. So at our programs, we did things like ice breaking at the beginning. Heidi said we let people in about 10 minutes early instead of having dead air that's like crickets for 10 minutes, because that's really awkward and
everybody's staring at you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable.
We would put up questions. This chat is a snip from our Moonshine and Mayhem program, which was super cool. And you see me, I asked, is anyone having a dram to go with the program tonight? And then there was like 10 minutes of conversation about people were either drinking coffee or water or, scotch, and what's the best and where do you get all of that. And it's just an icebreaker thing. So people kind of feel like they're hanging out with friends and they're chatting, and you see by the responses that it works. Engagement as well. This one, Heidi, bless her heart, we had a time travel program where everything at the other programs went swimmingly. So everything that could go wrong did go wrong in this one program. It wasn't bad. And Heidi was a champ at rolling with everything, but she had to be working some technology issues in the back. So she tossed chat to me for me to entertain the crowd while she was figuring things out. And you see at the bottom of the screen, thank you, Erin. That was great impromptu coverage. I just tossed a conversational bit out about ley lines. Just go with it, you guys. It was suitable for the program and the conversation, but we engaged people. They talked about everything they knew about ley lines, and it was hilarious. And let Heidi do what she needed to do on the back end. And then we had a great program. And then the last one is resource sharing. This is a fantastic example of this because this was our NC Travelog program. Our presenters took us from kind of the coast to the mountains and said a lot about all of the historical places of significance. And every time they mentioned something, we would drop a link in chat. And we did, in this particular snip, 8 links in 10 minutes, which is just bananas and fun, and has to go with the multitasking and the quick typing and the paying attention to the presentation so that you can reply in kind in chat. but it's a lot of fun. It really engages people and lets them feel like they are part of something and not just, one person in a chair next to someone else in a chair, which is kind of what happens at in-person programs sometimes. So that's fun. Zoom chat, it does take a special kind of person or people to kind of be successful at it, but it can also be taught, I think. And practice makes it easier, not perfect, but easier. And I think, okay, I was trying to leave 10 minutes so that, we can Zoom.
All right, we'll just tell them this quickly and then they can ask questions. Okay, so I just want to say something is going to go wrong. You just have to roll with it. It will. It's just going to happen. You have a thunderstorm, the power goes out, your presenter doesn't know what they're doing, even though they had in the past. Or there's just so many things. You just kind of roll with it, and you have backup people. You have somebody else that has your presentation, somebody else that knows what's going on. So we always had, Erin and I attended each other's programs, but we also had 2 to 3 other L1s that were kind of handling the behind the scenes. They were handling the chat. They were handling the links. They were making sure people weren't turning on their video or something untoward wasn't going on, which, by the way, nothing ever happened in the 8 programs. Update to the latest Zoom before each program. You can download it at zoom.us. That's super important because they're always fixing bugs. Go ahead.
So make sure also that you have a good, excellent internet connection, especially if you expect a lot of people. You don't want to be on, your public Wi-Fi or something. If a lot of people in the library are on, you're going to be choppy, you're going to cut out. It's just not going to be good. If you need to have your IT person come out and test your connection, make sure things are working as they should. That's a fantastic idea. Heidi did that before we started all these programs, and they found there were some funky things going on. They were fixed before we started, and everything was good. So with Zoom also, Heidi mentioned this earlier, create a Zoom friendly passcode. This just goes back to engaging with people, making them feel like they're part of something. So instead of an impersonal strand of numbers and words, create something that relates to your program. It's fun. People will get a kick out of it. To do that, change your profile pic to something that has to do, Heidi disappeared. Look, you guys, something that has to do with the topic. You see, we've got that branded Outlander plaid there. Heidi, come back, don't leave me alone. Thank you. Multiple monitors are also great if you have them, because you can have your main presentation up on the one screen. You can maybe have chat on another one, maybe another one to find links. It's just, if you can do multiple monitors, that's great. We did Outlander using laptops, and that was super fun, but it went well. But if you can have multiple things, use them. And Heidi, you can talk about Zoom webinar real quick.
Yeah, so if you can afford it, Zoom webinar is a great choice for larger programs. We use Zoom meetings because it was very inexpensive to add on. Zoom webinar is a little more expensive, and you do have to learn, it's different. It's a different interface. And we just wanted to go with something we already knew, which was the Zoom meeting product. It's very inexpensive. As I noted earlier, it was like $180 for us to upgrade for 2 months for 2 libraries, and it was well worth it. And last, something that's very important, decide or talk to your county attorney or IT people if there's policies. What are you going to do with people who are going to ask you if these programs are going to be recorded? Because 50% of the people will ask and will expect it. Our policy is we cannot record. So we put that in our FAQ, made it very clear. It also went in the confirmation email and went out with any reminders. But people really do expect, and in the perfect world, I would have loved to have recorded these and made them available for, let's say, a month, so that people could go back and ones that couldn't attend, we could have then counted that as a program statistic, which would have been nice, but we didn't. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
We would love it if you have any questions. You can go ahead, I guess, and type them in chat, or can they be unmuted, Amelia, or how do?
Yes, you can unmute yourself. I did not enable the everyone's muted feature.
Everyone's librarians. Nobody's going to have
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest thing. Like I'm learning so much from your presentation. I think some of that is there's such a difference between presenting for a big group and then something a little bit more internal or people that are kind of in your circle, but a big public audience, it's so different in how you approach it. It's really interesting.
There are all the little things that you don't think of, but with a large group, you absolutely need to, or you wind up with, I know y'all remember the early pandemic Zoom snafus that happened yeah. So we did and do try to lock everything down to the point where we don't have to worry about that.
Right, which is what the webinar product does for you. It locks it down and it allows for much larger audiences too, if you need it. But to me, it felt actually a little cold because you're just seeing the presenter and maybe the host, and you're not seeing really even the audience. A couple of the ones I went to, I didn't even see the names of the people. So it just felt like you're watching television. Whereas I felt like our presenters wanted to see the people coming in. They actually kind of got jazzed up about that. And then we would go ahead and shut the video off to save bandwidth and for security reasons. Yeah, it is very different. It's a very different beast. And Zoom is really flexible, and so are LibGuides. And I don't think we could have done this without either one of those tools.
Absolutely not, especially just for use of sharing as widely as we did online. Like I said, multiple Facebook social media groups. It was just the link to the LibGuide could go anywhere. You could put it in a Twitter link. You could, do an Instagram. I mean, you name it. It was an easy share rather than go to your library homepage, click on events, find the event. Like this was a one-stop shopping experience. And it was really neat to use a LibGuide in that marketing kind of way, because normally it's just sort of an info dump space. That's what we've always used them for. And they're great, but they can be used as a marketing tool. And we found that out really well with Outlander, I think.
Yeah.
Nobody has any questions?
No, not even a comment about your bad joke.
I mean, I've got another one if y'all want it, but.
How long was your planning process? So you mentioned you were teasing people for a couple months. When did you have the initial idea, and how long did it take until the programs were happening?
So Heidi emailed me. I got to tell this, Heidi. Heidi messaged me in June, I believe, like late June 2021, and was like, hey, I'm watching this show. Have you ever heard of it? It's called Outlander. I've been a fan of Outlander since like 1993. Okay. So I was like, yes, I have. She's like, I want to do a program. And I'm like, yes, I am on board. And then we started talking about it. And before we knew it, because if you're not familiar with Outlander in a nutshell, it has everything. It has historical things. It has political things. It has medicinal, everything. And we just kept coming up with ideas and suggestions. And so we narrowed it down. We asked people in July into August, I believe, and had everybody firm by like mid-August. Heidi, would you say mid-August?
Yeah, for sure.
And then we put up we created the LibGuide and had that up September 5th. Did we do it mid-September or October 1st?
October 1st. So they
Okay.
just had that 1 month period to sign up.
Mm-hmm. We teased them with, little because Heidi is very good with graphic design and things like that. And she would make these little teaser things with the Outlander brands that we would put on to a social media group and say, we're thinking to do like a gardening and medicinal herbs kind of thing. What would you like to know about that? So every couple of weeks we would have a little teaser question or something like that just kept that going. And then we had the LibGuide live a month before the programs.
Yeah, and it only got as big as it did because everyone said yes. We didn't think that everyone was going to say yes. We thought we would end up with 4 or 5 programs. So.
And then there were 8. And okay, and I think but Ashe County Public Library wants the joke. So I have to do this, Amelia. Can I tell it? It's
Go for
so
it.
dumb. It's so dumb. Okay, and you guys are going to know this. What do you call a quick video conference at the Mazda factory? A Zoom, 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 Zoom. I'm going to go now.
Well,
Happy Friday, everybody.
that's a way to end your session right there.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And if you have any questions, go ahead and contact us.
Oh yeah. Should we put our emails in the, or are they?
Well, they're leaving. I think they could find us probably.
Yeah, it's shared on Sched, and if you have any trouble, just reach out to us and we'll connect you. But thank you
Fantastic.
both so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Amelia, and it's wonderful to see you. And thank you all for being
Yes,
such
thank you.
a great